Hot for TV.
Welcome back to Doctor Who Too Hot for TV, the Advent Calendar edition. Every day this month, I'm joined by a different guest to talk about a different Doctor Who annual story. And today, it really could be a different Doctor Who annual story, depending on where we land. But I'm joined by Conrad. Conrad, say hello.
Hello. How are you, Dylan? Merry sort of getting towards Christmas.
Merry fucking Christmas. By the time this comes out, it'll basically be Christmas.
Oh, happy days. Oh, that's going to be very exciting. Also, at my age, you just get very, you're just lucky to see another Christmas at my age. So let's hope I make it there. If not, put this out posthumously and say really nice things about me. So it's like get people on who like me. There's a couple.
I'll do a really somber tribute at the start, at the end, and I'll play sad music under it for the entire time. I'll get Murray Gold to score it, so everyone knows exactly how to feel.
Oh, I will come back. That will bring me back to life. I'll come back and haunt the hell out of you, because I never want to hear from that man again. Oh, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas indeed. Now, before we jump into the story that we're covering today, I ask everybody this, but are you an annual collector? Did you get them as a kid? Did you get them as adults, Doctor Who or otherwise?
Yeah, I feel like, this sort of, I've come on to Too Hot for TV a couple of times to sort of bring on Weetabix boxes or Top Trumps games. So, of course, I'm Mr. Annual. In the 70s, this was a real staple. Everyone was getting in there. Your sister normally got something boring like Bunty or Jackie, which they never really wanted. But we would just get, I had a few Doctor Who ones, but the ones that really spring to mind are the Beano. The Beano was very big for me in 1977 or 78. I truly love that thing to the point where I can still visualize. I've still got it. I can still visualize all the cartoons. It's such a lovely thing to do over Christmas. I've listened to some of your, a couple of the episodes already, and I think I'm like you in that I would really look at the pictures and wasn't reading any stories. I would read a comic. I'd read a comic story. Would I have a go? I'd probably start doing a crossword and then give up. So Beano is a big one for me. Also, when I was younger, I wasn't allowed to stay up late enough to watch The $6 Million Man. It was past my bedtime. So as a sweetener, this is where the annuals can come into their own. My mum and dad, they bought me a $6 Million Man annual for my birthday or Christmas. So this is a way of like, well, you can't watch the programme, but here's the annual. Unfortunately, it's still an annual. So I just thought this programme about the Bionic Man, he was just doing crosswords and recipes the whole time. It's like, I'm never watching that. And then I've got one of my favourite annuals that came to me later. It's based on a 1984 series called Manimal. Where a very handsome Simon McCorkindale plays a man who can turn into an animal. Do you want me to run through that again?
It's a sort of high concept idea.
He's a man and an animal, and they brought out a Manimal annual, which some maniac chose not to call a Manimanual. I mean, it's right there. And again, it's features about cartoons and pictures with recipes and crosswords.
Now, the viewers can't see this, but you're holding that up. The font for fans of wilderness-era Doctor Who and late 80s Doctor Who is the same font as the early VHS releases of the Mythmakers tapes, so that's fucking exciting.
That is amazing. You see, this you can only get this for Too Hot for TV. I should also give an honorary mention to the 1979 Dalek Annual, which I was given. It's the green one, and it was full. It's really sort of noticeable because, with Doctor Who, I want monsters. I want robots. I want cross sections of Daleks. I want anti-Dalek forces. Very exciting. Also, very, very key because there were very homoerotic pictures in there of very muscly aliens in handcuffs. One of the agents, Dalek agents, was captured and interrogated wearing only a loincloth. And he was like, it was amazing. So, yeah, I like an annual.
Well, apparently so. We've done a Dalek story on this, but there wasn't any homoeroticism in it. It was called Flood! ! And it's about where the Daleks flood the Earth. But and then it's promptly unflooded by the I think they're called the ADF.
Yeah, the ADF, the anti-Dalek force. That's what that hot guy in the loincloth being interrogated. He was an ADF.
There's no reason why anybody should know this, but ADF is a facilities company in the film and television industry who provide toilets and stuff. So,
They could sponsor you. They could sponsor the shit out of this podcast for the next year with advertising value equivalent like that.
But we're not here to talk about a Dalek strip today. Now, before we came online, I suddenly realised there are 2 Doctor Who annual stories in consecutive years called The Time Thief. Now, We don't know. We didn't bother to check, but there is a chance we might have read two completely different stories.
Do hope so. It would be kind of exciting. It gives the reader sort of a bit of a double, it's like pulling a Christmas cracker and finding two things inside it,
Well, exactly. So I read the story The Time Thief from the Doctor Who Annual 1975, released in September 1974.
Well, sorry, children. I did the same thing, so you've only going to got one story today. Luckily, it does mean we're talking about the same thing, which people who've been podcasting for about 5 years isn't. Glad we've managed to clear that hurdle. The bar is low at Christmas. The bar is low.
Well, exactly. But that tells you a lot about these annual stories, that year to year they didn't even bother to check what they were calling.
Kind of love that.
The story. And maybe next year we'll come back and we'll do the other version.
That would be, that's fantastic. This is quality podcasting. I love it. Yeah, down for it.
So, let's jump into the story. The story starts with the fact that Sarah Jane is on a diet and doesn't want sugar in her tea, and the doctor calls it ridiculous. Is this the sort of message we want to be sending to young children?
Yes, because, as Sarah Jane points out, calorie counting, Doctor, is not ridiculous. I need not remind you of the dangers of obesity. I'm sure you're aware of them. I love that. Oh dear, although there is not an apostrophe, it's the wrong sort of you're. I'm sure you're aware of them without an apostrophe. As journalist Sarah Jane Smith.
Yeah, well, exactly. She's not writing it, though.
She's not, although we've got to get into the Sarah thing here, because actually, this is the first ever story containing Sarah Jane Smith. Because this is one of these in an annual, because this is 1975, which means it was made in 74. So what they've just had on TV from January to June in 74, it was Time Warrior to Spiders.
Right.
So we've had Sarah, but this is one of these crossover annuals where it's kind of mostly Jo Grant, but there are 3 Sarah stories in there, of which this is the first one.
Okay, so this is her first ever appearance in an annual.
It is, and more on her appearance in a moment.
She is absolutely the strong-willed journalist that we all know and love.
Well, she's not bad, actually. I have to say, Sarah Jane is my, basically I chose this because I didn't want to choose another Tom Baker thing. And I thought, well, Pertwee is the official Doctor of the Wilderness years. So I'd go with one of those. And I literally just flicked through it like a kid and just picked one I like the look of. And I picked it and I thought it was a Jo Grant story. And it was, to my surprise, when I opened it, I was like, oh, it's Sarah Jane. Her characterization in this, I think, is really good. And you're not going to convince me otherwise. Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. Sure, he says. Don't patronise me.
Maybe you can point these out as we go.
I certainly fucking will.
So, after she's called John Pertwee's Doctor fat, which I don't think is something that's ever been levelled at him before, Sarah admits to herself that she's actually given up on the diet. But, we've all been there. We've all told our friends, our loved ones, our family that we're still on the diet, but we're up at midnight eating some custard creams and grated cheese out of the fridge like some wild animal.
Grated cheese. Grated cheese, yes, good.
Yeah.
Grated cheese. Yeah, I do that all the time.
Do you buy a bag of pre-grated cheese and just have a little mouthful?
Actually, I just get the grater, wedge that rectangle into my mouth, and then just grate straight in. And also the cheese, I've heated it up, so it's really hot. It's just like sliding down my throat,
When I lived in a student's house many years ago, I came in very drunk and just bit into my mate's cheese. And he came down in the morning and there were just like 3 bite marks around
comedy chunk marks. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. I love that. Good times. Where did you go to school? Looney Tunes? Did you get with a giant frying pan and squash against the wall and your head went all? I do hope so.
That's exactly what happened. So after we've had this diet talk, something happens in the TARDIS that's never happened before, in that the Doctor walks through a door into like a communication centre or something.
Yeah, I like that. He needs to have his private calls. I'm very down with that.
Yeah.
I can see that happening. Also, Pertwee's was the era of like, oh, look, here's a fold-down bed. Oh, here's a crank that opens the door. Here's a thing. So, of course he's got a little sliding cubby hole where he can have his private chats.
The Doctor looks startled, he says, and he murmurs, strange, very strange. In fact, most unusual. This is the first time it's ever happened. Excuse me a moment, would you, my dear? Which I suppose is quite Pertwee, but it doesn't really say... It's just a strange bleeping.
Yeah, strange bleepings happen that he doesn't recognise.
But strange bleepings happen all the time in the TARDIS.
Well, not this strange bleeping.
It's a different sound.
Yeah, because this one, the Doctor hurriedly pressed a button on the control fascia and a panel. So this is just like, oh, this has never happened before.
Yeah.
He's only been Docky who's only been flying around for 10 years at this stage.
Yeah, fair. So he goes into his own private, it's like those little meeting booths you see in co-working spaces. He goes in there, and it's his old pal Carr, who he's very pleased to hear from, despite the fact Carr being a Time Lord. The Third Doctor's usually pissed off to be sent on a mission by the Time Lords. This time he can't get enough, can he?
He loves it. I'm quite excited about that. I like the fact that Carr, Karr, it says, I'm calling you because your fellow Time Lords here on Gallifrey think you're the only person who can solve this dilemma, and it's a grave one. I think it is one of those ones of Time Lords, you know, like the person writing this would have probably seen, I don't know, Colony in Space, Three Doctors or something like that, and know that he gets the occasional little mission. And this is a good mission, I think.
It is a good mission. He's got to go on the trail of Madrigal, who was brilliant, young and brilliant. In fact, the youngest on Gallifrey ever to be appointed a Time Lord. There was only one problem. He was greedy, ruthlessly greedy. He used his power for his own ends and not for the good of the galaxy. And eventually the other Time Lords found out.
It did. He was stealing planets.
Wow.
Probably using a magnetron, probably. Because he's on Gallifrey, you know?
Absolutely. The people love to steal planets in Doctor Who.
I heard on, I think, the first, it was either Michael Mills or Richie Morgan talking about the idea of stealing planets and how fucking stupid it is. And then you just got your RTD hatred in your eyes. And then you went in on Journey's End saying stolen Earth, and you were having none of it. So you're not up for stealing or piloting a planet, are you?
No, but it sounds like you might be a fan.
I mean, I don't mind. It's no more ridiculous than anything else in Doctor Who, I think. So I think stealing planets okay, but yeah, the laws of physics do tend to get out of the window. So, you know, orbits, tides.
I can make the Earth move for you enough, my friend.
This is very true. I'm not bringing those top trumps around again, I tell you. I don't know. Your special powers were something I never want to encounter again. Madrigal. Now, I wondered, okay, the villain Madrigal, the Doctor says, oh, it's the villain of the piece. He's a brilliant young Time Lord who's using his powers for evil instead of good. So I was like, Madrigal, is that some kind of thing of the Master?
Yeah.
It's not. A madrigal is a song. It's a non-religious song with lots of different vocal harmonies and stuff from the Renaissance period. And I was like, is that got anything to do with it? No, it hasn't. So they've just called this villain Madrigal. He's got a beard, I think. Has he got a beard, or is that the Time Lord?
No, he's got a beard. He's got a beard and a...
I don't know. I mean, Master or not Master, what do we think?
Did they use the Master anywhere else in this?
Not in this annual, I don't think, but they have used him in other ones later on.
Maybe someone went, look, we've used the Master far too much. What we need to do is invent a new Time Lord villain that is completely different. So we'll come up with a name beginning with M and we'll give him a beard.
Exactly. I think it's okay. I reckon... I mean, is he the Master? Is he not? The boys and girls at home can decide. But I think that they've kind of gone, oh, there's usually a Time Lord send him on missions, and there's an evil villain who was a Time Lord gone rogue with a beard. I think it's fairly kind of in a generic sort of blender, grater, if you will, in which they're grating all these story elements. This is the hot, cheesy sludge that's going down.
Now, I don't know. So they hurtle off to go and face Madrigal. But I don't know whether this person quite knows how the TARDIS works, because instead of immediately materialising where they need to be, by 8 o'clock that evening, the TARDIS was speeding on its way towards the Computerix, where Carr said Madrigal could be found, and they've just gone to bed, right? Yeah,
they've gone to sleep and put it on the automatic destination pilot to do all the necessary work to keep the TARDIS hurtling through space. So while they have a nap, I like the fact the Doctor says he's calculated they'd reach Madrigal's galactic lair by 3 o'clock the following afternoon, which I think sounds really civilised. Time for naps.
But by 8 o'clock in the evening, the TARDIS was speeding there. What time does he get the call? It can't be that urgent.
He's going as fast as he can.
Yeah.
And I feel like the coordinates, I think this is how this person who writes this thinks. It's just like you just got to sort of program in a journey, sit back, go to sleep, and you'll be there in a couple of days. Which is a little lackluster for a time-space thing. But
yeah. This is the TV show where the TARDIS fucks off out of the universe in Legopolis in about 4 seconds. So
we had more time back in the 70s.
yeah, that's true.
Right, okay, we're doing this. What else? So they go to this planet which is called Lunagov 3.
Yeah.
And there's beautiful plants there.
But they're not real plants, are they?
No, they're not. They're made of bloody plastic.
And at this point, I'm thinking,
Master.
Autons?
Yeah.
No, none of that. It's just because when you move planets around as much as Madrigal, the atmosphere fucks with your plants. And he's obviously someone who admires beauty. So he's got lovely plastic flowers all over the planet.
I mean, who doesn't want something like that? And yes, they're flame proof. It's very, very useful. This picture, this illustration of Sarah Jane bending down to pluck a plant while Doctor Who runs out of his box. It's basically exactly the same illustration and costume that they use for Jo Grant all the way through.
Yeah.
They've obviously done the illustrations first and gone, oh, by the way, she's called Sarah.
Yeah.
And they've just got this lovely young blonde girl in kooky miniskirt and kinky boots, but she's called Sarah Jane Smith. And I was thinking, well, this is a very kind of egregious mistake. And then I remembered that apparently, I didn't see all of them, but in the last 2 seasons of Doctor Who, which were filmed in one block, I believe, they lost an actress halfway through, one of their leads, and a writer was paid money to write a script that would go out on BBC and Disney Plus, where they just gave the girl's character, which I believe involved a baby, to another woman altogether and just transposed that plot from one person to another. So to be honest, let's not throw stones here, guys, because if anyone sat through and watched those 2 series, A, choices, and B, it's worse than what's here. I mean, they've literally picked a girl's hair color and gone, well, she's blonde, it'll do for her. That's very different from going, this woman decided to have a baby. This woman is very independent, but we'll just switch it across because, women all want babies.
Look, women are interchangeable, right?
That's the lesson we're learning from Doctor Who today. This explains my grasp on the female human experience.
The woman, of course, in this story, who could be Jo or Sarah, actually looks most like Isabel Watkins from the Invasion.
She does. He actually really, really does.
Justice for Isabel, eh?
Justice for Isabel. I met Sally Faulkner at a Doctor Who convention, and it was at breakfast time, and both her and Wendy Padbury were trying to work out how to use the coffee machine. And they both threw their heads back laughing, wearing feather boas, while it exploded and smoke poured out of it, much to the alarm of the staff at that Bristol hotel room. But I did go up to Sally Faulkner and said, hi, Sally. And I showed her how to use the coffee machine. And I said, we've chosen our quiz name to be Quizabel Watkins last night, just for you. And she looked very impressed, and even more impressed when I gave her a coffee.
And then she called security.
That was then she called security, and then I'm now calling you from jail. That was a terrible story. I'm quite tired. It's Christmas. Just take what you get.
I liked it. They're escorted to his lair. Oh, no, sorry. I've fast-forwarded far too much.
Well, actually, you sort of haven't really, because you're right. They do get escorted somewhere, but we don't get to find out who escorted them until a bit later.
No.
So there were these key characters called terrestoids, who are these robot creatures who look like humans.
Yeah.
So the Doctor and Jo have been grabbed by the terrestoids and taken off to see Madrigal. But yeah, they don't introduce them till later. So
do we get a picture of them?
Yeah, they're sort of generic spacemen in kind of like Michelin Man suits.
Yeah.
Does anyone know what Michelin Man is these days? Or am I just sounding like a random?
My audience will know what the Michelin Man is.
It was a licensed character that promoted a brand of tyres, and he had big white tyres for a body. He looked like a Stay Puft Man. Yeah. There you go. Reference for the young kids. Fuck off.
Then we discover his plans, which is he's basically going to take over Gallifrey, right?
Yeah. Yep. He's
Why
just
not?
Straight up. Yep. He's very debonair. He's very nice. He gives them a nice fizzy drink, you can see in the picture. Oh, I congratulate you, Doctor. How well you know me. You are, of course, right. My wish to return and conquer the present rulers of Gallifrey is not simply a whim. I do have a reason. Oh, he has a reason. Here he goes. The new time ionizer.
Yeah.
Which the Time Lords have developed. He's after a time. What do you think a time ionizer does? Do not say it ionizes time. What do you think it does?
I don't know what a time ionizer. What does ionize actually mean? It's something you hear in Doctor Who.
Then they put it in deodorants. They are like, with new ionizing technology. I'm sure they have it in like deodorants or something. Look up what an ion is. An ion is like a particle.
Yeah.
And that's about as far as I go. I did drawing and numbers and showing off at school. I didn't really do science.
Ionize is a verb that means to convert an atom or molecule into an
Yeah.
ion by removing an electron. This is big stuff. See, it's educational.
Always. Or every day's learning day on Two Hop TV. Okay, so well, anyway, this thing he's after is a time ionizer. With this machine, he could rule the galactic and major governing bodies from the beginning of time.
Wow.
Pretty good, huh? So far, the villain's got a very masterly plot, if you don't mind me saying.
And so his robots take the Doctor and Sarah / Joe / Isabel to their quarters. So they're not in a prison. He's prepared the guest suite for them.
Yeah, exactly. They've had a nice drink. And then Doctor Who looks in his pockets, which I appreciated.
Yes, because Doctor Who's always got something exciting in his pocket. Maybe a sonic screwdriver, maybe that penis-shaped device from the Time Monster. But what's he got here?
He's got an ion polarizing retarder. I've got to say, I've got one of those. Actually, all gay men have them installed up their butts, which means that we're really good at dancing, but we tend to kind of fritz out on escalators or at the checkouts in Morrison's. But yeah, that's what an ion polarizing retarder is. And the Doctor's got one.
He does.
He's not gay,
indeed.
but he's got one in his pocket.
They try to escape, and the Doctor gets Sarah to do something to help him open the door, I think. And then after she's done it, the Doctor goes, well, if it hadn't worked, you would have been electrocuted.
I know, I love that. Here's what you could have won. I think it's quite a good escape from thing plan. When I say now, whatever. And then they go into Madrigal's room, don't they? With all the flashing lights, buttons and levers, computers silently discharging endless streams of tape.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
And they hide from Madrigal, who's in an absolute tiz.
He's in a right doozy in a tiz, yeah.
Yeah. At which point, Madrigal's left the room, so the Doctor activates his retarder.
Yes.
But only for Madrigal to come back in.
Yeah, Madrigal comes back in going, what the fuck are you doing here? And he says, first of all, I'd like that little gadget you used to deactivate my terrestrials, if you don't mind, Doctor. And then here's a bit, I think, a really authentic Pertwee flummery. He reaches into his pocket and pulling out the small disc-like object goes, catch! Run, Sarah, run! Makes the TARDIS. So with throwing it, he distracts him. And then Pertwee rushes with billowing cape and knocks the retarder out of Madrigal's hand. That is authentic. That's why we're getting a Pertwee annual, because this is the hero we want. Billowing capes, knocking retarders out left, right and centre. This is great.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff. Madrigal reactivates his robots.
He does. And they all chase them to the TARDIS, I think. Yeah.
And they run to the TARDIS. They get into the TARDIS. He activates the retarder again. And basically, they've just sent him spinning off somewhere. Yeah,
no, they use the retarder to sort of beat off all the terrestrials on the way to the TARDIS. They close the door, but then the Doctor stood still and silent, deep in thought, and began to flick switches on the large control panel. Strap yourselves in, Sarah. This could be a bumpy ride. I want to dispatch Madrigal off somewhere where he can't do any harm. Hold tight. He presses the final button. And then the TARDIS lurches and bumps and stuff. And then Madrigal and Luna Gov 3 are no more. And the TARDIS is once more earthbound.
What a beautiful story.
I kind of liked it. It's simple. I think I've really realised as my cognitive decline accelerates, I really like a simple story.
Yeah.
The two movies I saw this year, mainstream movies that I really enjoyed, were Frankenstein and Fantastic Four, because the story's really effing simple. But actually, they spent the time on characterisation and making the thing absolutely beautiful. So I basically, give me a simple story any day of the week.
Okay, but this didn't really concentrate on characterisation. So where were these big Sarah Jane moments?
The huge, enormous Sarah Jane moments came for me in the beginning, where she really wants this adventure. She really wants to be on it. And there's a bit here that if you could see Sarah's face, you could just tell that she was so delighted to have kind of not got left behind, and that she wants to come on the adventure. I think she's good. I could safely read this in Liz Sladen and John Pertwee's voices, and nothing really jumped out too badly at me.
Okay,
I'm going with this one. I'm going with this one. Time Lords, Gallifrey. Apparently, later on in this book, there's a reference to sonic screwdrivers, and this is sort of the first time I think they've done Time Lords, Gallifreys, and Sonics in an annual.
Right.
But to be honest, they're going to need a good crash course in Doctor Who, because they'd have got this on the 21st of December, 1974. 3 days later, Robot is on television.
Fucking hell.
and they've only got Sarah. So this basically goes in the bin. You just have to rip the pages out with Sarah Jane, throw the rest of them away because it's already irrelevant.
Yeah, shocking.
Times.
1 minute you're safe in the Pertwee era with the cozy unit fam, and the next you're on an ark, trapped in a ventilation system.
I didn't ask you, and you might have been asked this already, but I don't know, so I want you to answer me anyway. Did you have annuals still when you were a nipper?
Yes, there were lots of annuals. Doctor Who annuals generally came because there wasn't new ones really, although there was the Doctor Who yearbooks, which DWM did strip it. So, yes, the annuals played a part in my life, but I think I was more likely to get like a Ghostbusters annual or a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle annual that I would actually read.
Were they good? Were the Ghostbusters?
I honestly couldn't tell you. I mean, maybe one day I'll jump into some other annuals from other things and see whether they stand up. Look, it's a format that can keep going, Conrad.
Do you know what? They're still a bit... I had to look nowadays going, are they still making these? And of course they are. There's a 2026 annual with Ncuti and Varada on the front cover.
Yeah.
And do you know what? It's going to be made by wonderful Doctor Who people. So isn't it great that they're still doing them?
They are, and they take a lot more care over them these days.
They do, but there's different sorts of care. I mean, I think this is great. I quite like this story. I do really enjoy. Can you just post that picture on social media? Because I really like it.
Absolutely.
It's the sort of, what do you call that bit between the front cover and the first page? I don't read books. The bit that's like the DVD menu, but on an annual. The big frontispiece of this gorgeous 70s bit of nonsense.
It's disgustingly 70s in a way. It's like a big alien world with the Doctor and brown-haired companion, so presumably Sarah, trapped in tentacles. It's fantastic.
Is this an album?
It does. The art throughout this is absolutely wonderful. Although I would say, I think the story we picked probably has the weakest art.
Yeah, it does. I'm sorry about that, lads. But this is an audio thing, so people at home can just use their imagination, hopefully. Depending on how near at Christmas it is.
Yeah.
Because we all start to get a bit tired and hysterical before Christmas.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a big colourful comic strip in the back that looks very enticing, and if I'd have got this as a kid, it's called Dead on Arrival, I would have jumped straight to that.
Do you know what? I'm familiar with that story. I've covered that on another podcast. Also, what I think is very exciting at the back. Now, you know I like a game.
I know you do.
You know I like to bore the arse off everyone I meet by playing cardboards going to the 70s. And there's one in the back of this annual called The Secret Steps. It's got secret passages. It's got go back the way you came. And my personal favourite instruction, give back what you've got. Like that either sounds threatening or encouraging, but there are monsters. There's kind of cool artwork. There's like a brickwork night. It's kind of nice.
Yeah.
I'm fond of an annual, but like you, I was always toys and visual stuff.
Yeah.
So an annual, I wasn't reading big text. I don't think I read a single text story of any single annual I ever got, but I love the pictures and photos and cartoons.
Yeah. They also these pictures promise a series of Doctor Who that you're unfamiliar with because it doesn't look like the telly. And it's not just the classic thing of, you're not restrained by budget or whatever. Even like a lot of the styles of the illustrations aren't always necessarily the sort of style of illustration you'd associate with the show.
A children's stories.
Yeah.
I mean, the later Tom Baker ones really get very, very strange. It is really, the people who are making these are listening to Pink Floyd stoned all the time, and they're just trying to make the most out there, weird, experimental prog rock stuff ever. These are they're relatively
on brand, aren't they?
Relatively speaking. And apparently this is the book as well as introducing Gallifrey and Time Lords and Sonics to the annuals. Apparently he's referred to as Doctor Who and TARDIS a little bit, but not much in this one. I think this is where it's starting to tip away from that kind of, it's Doctor Who and TARDIS. And my favourite things, one from those beautiful Hartnell stories, like the ones where the Doctor Who goes to sleep in a giant cabbage. Like, we've moved on from that. I wish those days would return again. But yeah, we're at an interesting stage of this. And it reminds me a bit of, I think it was the 1981 or 2 annual, where it was the last Tom Baker one. So there's lots of adventures with just Tom and Adric, the Fourth Doctor and Adric, and then bits of Davison starting to jam in there. This is basically that same kind of transitionary.
Because I suppose you're a fan of annuals in later life, right? Because you've done quite a lot of them for Trap 1.
Yeah, to be honest, the most of the stories I've actually read or have heard have been on Track One, because we do a semi-regular thing where we review, and I think Track One is the only podcast to do this. Only people stupid enough to do it, and listeners dumb enough to listen to it. Is that we do reviews of the audio annuals that they bring out. So we're really scraping the bottom of the barrel here, but we're literally podcasting about an audio based on a book, based on a TV series. So it's kind of. We're photocopying that.
Don't shit on the format. That's my entire format.
Oh yeah. And you do about about stuff that wasn't even on television. So Christ knows what we're doing here. But yeah, we do that. I love it. We've got a lovely team that do it. Cy Hart, Denise, Mark McManus, and me. For some reason, we're the four that do the annual stories. They seem to go down really, really well. And we've tried some of the quizzes from these before, the cosmic quizzes, space quizzes. And everyone laughs and mocks and goes, oh, we did quite well. We got 7 out of 10. And I have to point out to them that there are 4 of us and we're not 7. So we like to sort of play along with that. So yeah, I have become more familiar with the audio annuals as we go. And depending on when this comes out, there's a new one coming out, I think, at Christmas as well. So
amazing. Excellent. Well, be sure to check it out if you need more annual stories in your lives, which I'm sure everybody will.
Who doesn't?
Well, look, thank you for joining me today. It's been an absolute pleasure to jump into an annual from an era as the times of Doctor Who were changing. I will be back tomorrow with another guest, another annual story from another time. But until then, I've been Dylan.
I've been Conrad.
And this has been Doctor Who Too Hot for TV, the Advent Calendar.
Can I wish everyone at home a really happy Westmaas? I've always wanted to do.
You can, and you did.
Doctor Who, too hot for TV.
Incidentally, a happy Christmas to all of you at home.